Welcome to Wales Online. I'm Martin Shipton, and with me today is Sir Emyr Jones-Parry, who is the chair of the All Wales Convention, which is looking at the prospects of a referendum on primary lawmaking powers for the National Assembly. Sir Emyr, what is your priority in undertaking this exercise?
Well, for the moment, it's been to do all the necessary preparation so we can actually get at the task. The task is very simple: try and explain the devolution settlement simply, quite a formidable task, to promote a debate on whether or not the Assembly should have primary lawmaking powers, and if so, how should those powers be obtained? Piecemeal, bit by bit, or as a block following a referendum, to debate those issues, to report to the government, and then decisions for the government.
One of the problems, of course, is that we're not exactly starting from a blank sheet of paper. We've got in existence what many people see as a rather convoluted devolution settlement, which involves the Assembly, in the words of some, going cap in hand to the Parliament in Westminster and being essentially some kind of subordinate, second-rate legislative body. And the intricacies of the existing arrangements are not easy to understand. Is this going to pose a problem for you?
You're right, they're complex. But the fact of the matter is, you can only start a journey from where you are. And there's a provision of an Act of Parliament that says if the Assembly wants to seek particular powers, it can do so in a fairly complicated and drawn-out process. But it is dynamic, and it does, at the end of the day, mean that both houses in Westminster agree that a certain area should come to the Assembly, and that then the Assembly be competent to pass primary legislation. The second option is actually for the Assembly, by a two-thirds majority, to say, we'd like a referendum. And if, again, both houses agree a referendum, and if there were a referendum and a simple majority voted yes, then without any further ado, some 20 areas set out in a particular part of the Government of Wales Act 2006 would automatically come to Cardiff. So you would have this bunch of powers there for the Assembly to use. And the question is, should either of those routes be favoured by the Welsh people? If they want more powers for the Assembly, if they think the Assembly deserves those powers, which of the two routes do they think are more appropriate? And what are the benefits and the disadvantages of each of those routes?
Now, a very important part of your remit is actually, as it says, to raise awareness and improve understanding of the current arrangements. How exactly are you going to go about that?
As you say, it's complicated and it's not easy. Firstly, through a website, which is allwalesconvention.org, and which is interactive but has lots of information on it, through some 17 organisations who are going to use their networks actually to disseminate information, through sending things out to schools. That will certainly happen. And we've got a Facebook debate taking place now, and I hope through a communications campaign taking in national television, radio, local radio, national newspapers, local newspapers, Papur Bro, every opportunity so that we get the message as far out as we can. What I ought to stress is that anyone who wants to take part can. Any views are welcome. All views are welcome from anywhere in Wales. That's the basic message.
I think some people are a bit puzzled about why this is happening now because, of course, a few years ago there was an investigation carried out under the chairmanship of Lord Richard, and they published their report in 2004 and made some very clear recommendations about the way forward, which included giving the National Assembly primary lawmaking powers. Are you not just replicating what Richard did?
No, because at this stage there's a very specific remit. Richard was followed by the Government of Wales Act, and this Act provides that there are 20 areas potentially where powers could come to Cardiff. That's the exam question. Not as broadly based as Ivor Richard's report, and very simple really. Does Wales want those powers? And if it does, in which of the two ways should those powers come to Cardiff? And that's what I've got to try and answer.
Now, there are those out there who have already made public statements suggesting that, in their view, what you're doing amounts to a surrogate yes campaign. Yes. What would you say to that?
I'd say that very simply. I'm stressing all views from anywhere in Wales on any aspect. Someone said to me the other day, do you think the no campaign is sufficiently represented on the executive committee? And I said, I don't know, because I don't know if the yes campaign is represented. This is 16 people, and myself will dispassionately look at the evidence we're given, try and fashion this into a report, and then referendum or not, that's for ministers. It's political. My job is to collect the information. So it's not a campaign for a referendum, still less for a particular outcome of a referendum. Is to try and see, at this stage, what's the snapshot of what Wales wants.